Welcome back to the FanSpeak Network and another episode of the NFL Betting Card Live, the Week 16 Betting Card Live. I cannot believe that. But I'm of course joined every Thursday with Spread Astaire and Tyler Hicks. And we talk through all our favorite picks on the betting card. We go through spreads, we go through totals, we go through props, we go through anytime touchdowns. We talk a little Thursday night football, which we actually have a decent one tonight because both still are in playoff contention. So let's get to it. Say hi to the guys. Spread, I'll go to you first. How are you doing? And what do you think of this week 16 card?
Yeah, I think my numbers are right dialed in here. So this is where talking with you and Tyler, people who really watch the sport intently, are going to help me because at this point of the year, everything seems to be aligned. You can't really pop your numbers in and get an edge. I'm getting pretty close to what the books are putting out. And anytime I did have an edge, the market moved it right back to what I had. So I can't wait to talk about these games with you because I don't think you're going to be able to just use the stats. I think you have to understand these teams, understand the coverages they play, what they, do they want to run? Do they want to pass? Do they use this? How do these teams actually match up rather than trying to use the previous performance of the past 3 or 4 weeks to figure out who's going to win?
I absolutely agree with that. This time of year, I think you do have to lean more into that. So absolutely aligned with you there. Tyler, how are you doing? And what do you think of this week 16 card?
Yeah, I think there's a couple good spots on this card that we found, and we're going to be able to hammer those spots down this week. And I think they're winners. So I just want to get right into those. And I think those are easy picks this week.
All right. Love it. Then let's get right into it. Let's go spreads first, of course. And of course, I go to spread first on the spread. So tell me, Spread, what is your favorite spread of the week?
All right. And this is contingent on CJ Stroud being rolled out. But with the Houston Texans starting Case Keenum, that's one of the biggest downgrades we have. And when we talk about how much we're downgrading a quarterback, and I've told this joke on these shows thousands of times, but they say, how much is Joe Montana worth? It was like, well, he's only worth 1 point because his backup was Steve Young. But in this case, when you go from CJ Stroud to Case Keenum, that's a significant downgrade for this Houston Texans offense that was already a little bit banged up. Now we look at the Cleveland Browns. I don't think anyone can argue this is the best defense in football. And we mentioned right before the show, Meg, that Flacco is exceeding our expectations. We thought he was washed. We thought he was done, but he's able to zip the ball in there and get some things done. I also believe he's aided by playing with the best defense because there's not as much pressure on him. He's not getting involved in shootouts. And Cleveland can also be content to establish the run because they know that the other team's not putting up points on the other side. It gives them a chance to get into their sets, do what they like. This line's completely flipped. CJ Stroud missed a charity event that he was hosting this week. So we know that these symptoms are still pretty bad if he wasn't able to get out there and do the Christmas charity event that I know that he wanted to do.
Yeah.
I'm liking the Browns here. It sucks that we're having to fade an injury, but we've seen it all year, Meg. The difference between these starting quarterbacks and these backups is pretty big.
Right.
And that's even with the average quarterbacks. And Stroud's played like a top 10, arguably top 5 quarterback this year. I think the loss is going to be too much for Houston to handle. Give me the Cleveland Browns -2.5.
I'm fully on board with you on that one. And I am just actually really overwhelmed by how impressed that Flacco is playing, at least statistically, and just like giving his team a chance to win, comeback wins. He's just, it really makes you think like the Jets really, really, really messed up. I mean, when you look at all the backup quarterbacks, yes, there's been some disappointing backup quarterbacks, and yes, there is mostly a downgrade. But when you look at some of the backup quarterbacks that have come in and filled in admirably, and like in a case of Flacco, it's like, what were the Jets doing? This whole time, Rodgers was trying to make this comeback, and they were trying to roll Zach Wilson and just mind-blowing. But anyways, yeah, I've been impressed with Flacco. I like actually betting his props. They're always live because he's still got a really live arm and slinging it. So fully in line with you on the Browns pick. Tyler, what is your favorite spread of the week?
Yeah, love that Browns pick. I'm going to take an underdog here. Why are the Colts 2-point underdogs to the Falcons, who benched Desmond Ridder this week? They're going to play Heineke, who did not look good this year. It's not the same Heineke we've seen in Washington in past years where he steps in for his quarterbacks and plays well. He looked terrible in Atlanta. It's a dome, so it's not like you're taking the Colts outside.
Right.
Jonathan Taylor was a full participant in practice yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Pittman's already limited. I think he's back by Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
JT's on the field too. I mean, the Colts are fighting for a playoff spot. The Falcons really aren't at this point. They could still maybe win that NFC South, but bouncing around with your quarterbacks, I think they're done. So
Yeah.
I have to take the Colts plus the 2 here.
Yeah, and I think like you said, there's very good news on Taylor, and looks like Pittman should play. So, like you said, especially with that news, I think Moss might be out, but I mean, getting JT back and Pittman, I don't know if the line was where it is because of the question marks with that, but to me, it's like jump on it now because you're getting such good value. I don't get it either. I fully agree with you. So I love those 2 picks. Any other games?
Let me jump in on that one real quick.
Yeah,
Nick,
please,
I also think
please.
this is a great matchup for the Colts because we know that Atlanta wants to get everything going through that run game, and the Colts have built that defense through the strength of their front 7. They've invested most of their defensive resources or their salary cap in the defensive line and the linebacker position. And I think that matchup's bode well, and it has for the last couple years. Indianapolis is 6-1 against the spread in their last 7 against Atlanta, and I think that trend continues.
Yeah, and I mean, I bet a lot of Bijan props last week. I know all sports fans, fantasy fans are frustrated by the usage of Bijan Robinson. Arthur Smith just can't get it right. And yeah, now he's kind of throwing up Hail Marys with the quarterback change. Yeah, I just really, really, really like the Colts in this spot. I think they're going to hang on to that wild card spot. I really do. I think I don't know what it is. And I know, Tyler, you like to talk future sometimes. What is Steichen for Coach of the Year right now?
I think he became the favorite this past week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
A lot of people woke up that one.
That wasn't sneaky. That wasn't sneaky. Okay. All right. I was like, what is that now? I haven't looked at that recently. Okay. Yeah. I mean, he's got to be in there because my God, nobody saw this.
What's this team's record if AR doesn't get hurt?
Isn't it about the same? Don't you think there'll be a lot of growing pains with him?
I think there would have been a lot of growth. I think from a fantasy standpoint, obviously that rushing,
How many games does he steal with his legs, though? You got to think he steals 1 to 2
How many
games.
games do you think he gives away?
I was just going to say,
I
I think there was going to be a lot of growing pains in the passing game, just like there was initially with Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts the first couple of years of them as passers. So I agree, spread. I think it would be about equal. Maybe he'd get some with his legs, but I think he could have equally given some away with some mistakes. And just being, raw. I mean, he didn't have a lot of games under his belt, like just as a quarterback and a passer. So I think there would have been some growing pains there. I agree. But yeah, I mean, just very, very impressive what the Colts are doing. And I think they continue. Any other games that you guys want to talk through?
I can't wait for this segment. I told you, I can't just rely on my projections. I need to talk to you guys.
Yeah, let's talk this through.
Start with the first game on Saturday. Tyler's Pittsburgh Steelers versus Cincinnati Bengals. Which team do we downgrade for injuries more? So look, who's it going to be? Mason Rudolph? That's not good.
I mean, they haven't fully ruled out Pickett.
Reindeer earlier,
No,
but
Pickett's out.
Oh, is Pickett fully ruled out? Okay.
And Trubisky got benched, right?
It's right. Oh yeah, it's Rudolph season.
Rudolph.
It's Rudolph season. You're right. Do you want to cue up the music you were playing, Spread? Yeah.
They're just switching the guy out in the jersey number. It's still the same style of play. They all suck.
Yeah, I know that they needed to do something, but I would have been more concerned with Trubisky. Now, Tyler, talk to me about those defensive injuries. What are you hearing about TJ Watt, Cam Hayward, Minka Fitzpatrick? How are the Steelers looking defensively?
Yeah, I don't think Minka's going to play. That injury did not look good last week. Okay. I don't believe he practiced yesterday. Watt and those guys are going to go out there and try and play.
Last week, he wasn't the same player, though.
Yeah, that's the thing. He's not going to be the same player. How much of an impact does he make? Probably still gets 1 sack in the end, but I don't think he's the wrecking ball that he normally is, where it's like, all right, that one guy decided the game because every time we snapped the ball, we couldn't do anything on offense because he was already in the backfield. So I probably stay away from this game completely because I still don't think Browning's all that good. Now you take away his best weapon, and now I could see him regress heavily. And you look on the other side, I'm not running to bet a Mason Rudolph, Mike Tomlin team right now that can't move the ball and can't tackle on defense. I think it's a complete stay away.
All right, Meg, I'd like to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I agree with Tyler that I don't have interest in betting this game. I think it's a stay away. I too all the like advanced statistics like really look good for Browning. All these backup quarterbacks, especially the ones that you haven't really seen before, you kind of like are waiting to see like, okay, is the fairy tale over? Is it going to go back to like more reality? We haven't quite seen it yet. I think the first part of that Saturday game was bumpy. And then they got there in the end and obviously had a great comeback win. But again, without Chase, I think that's a big downgrade to that passing game. So that, I think, like you said, there's so many injuries to weigh on both sides. I don't.
And Meg, I'll tell you what, if it was just the Chase injury, I would have already bet Cincinnati.
Yeah.
The injury that really concerned me, I think they're both named DJ, right? It's DJ Reader and then the safety, DJ Ivy, who I'm not super familiar with, but I did look him up, and he ranks above average for the defense. But DJ Reader's a huge hole, and you saw when he went out how Minnesota was able to run the ball so much better. It was like when the Steelers lost Cam Hayward. These nose tackles mean so much, especially when the back, one guy's a wrecking ball, and the backup is getting beat off the line. It changes the complexion of the whole battle in the trenches. My final counter for Browning is, unlike a lot of these other backup quarterbacks, right? Tim Boyle, Tommy DeVito, Case Keenum. These guys were never elite athletic prospects that didn't do the work, right? Where these guys were always overachievers, and that's how they got to the NFL.
Right.
Browning's an underachiever. So to me, his ceiling's higher than any other player. I'm actually not worried about the offensive end here for Cincinnati. I think they'll do okay. I'm worried that with DJ Reader and DJ Ivy out, that Pittsburgh's going to be able to run the ball, and that's what Tomlin's going to want to do. Mason Rudolph, 11 for 18, right? But Najee and Jalen Warren both have great games on the ground.
Yeah.
They lower the amount of plays in the game. They want less plays out there, especially if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers. Perfect rotation. This is a game the Steelers win. It seems like a Tomlin spot, and Pittsburgh's had Cincinnati's number. They've won 13 of the last 17 games that they've played. Tomlin simply beats this team. So I wanted to get on Cincinnati, but because of the injuries to the defensive line, and that run-stopping safety, I'm a little worried here. And I haven't pulled the trigger yet.
Yeah, I think we're all kind of like gun shy on this one. I mean, if you said you have to pick a side, I probably would take the Steelers at home. And again, like you said, the kind of the history there and everything. And I do think they can run the ball against the Bengals, but I don't feel comfortable either way. So it seems like we're all kind of wanting to mostly stay away from
I
this
just
game.
hate betting these backup quarterbacks.
Yeah.
All right. Let me talk to you guys about Detroit, Minnesota. Detroit 5-0 against the spread in their last 5 against Minnesota, but Minnesota's 5-0 in their last 5 games at home. Well, how did that work out? Because Detroit's usually catching points, right? The Vikings have been good for the past 4 or 5 years.
Right.
This is Detroit's first year. I mean, I guess towards the end of last year, right? But they've only been for 18 months. Has this team been a quality football team?
Sure.
But now they're laying points. So the situation is reversed. I know you love the Detroit offense.
Oh, I really do this week. Let me tell you, semifinals of best ball.
But that Minnesota defense is so much better than we thought.
They are. It scares me. Yeah.
The other side, I don't think Nick Mullins. I mean, we talk about backups, right? He misses throws. He makes bad decisions. There's plays where, he gets the completion, but if he's thrown it correctly, it could have been a big gain. I don't think he's getting the most out of his weapons because of his lack of accuracy. What do you think about this one? I know you love Detroit here, but how do you think they're going to do against that revamped Minnesota defense? And do you think Minnesota's defense is going to be able to shut down one of the best offenses in the NFL?
I hope, just to have a very biased take, I hope that the Vikings aren't able to shut down one of the best offenses. I'm very nervous about that. So yeah, I'm nervous about this one from a Detroit offensive side, because I again, very, very, very much selfishly or biased take, hope they put up big numbers again, just like they did last week. But Yeah, I don't know. I don't feel totally comfortable on this one. This would probably be a stay away. I think that the spread's right. And so, it kind of wouldn't shock me either way. We know Detroit plays better at home, but at least it is in a dome, from that perspective. All the points you said, I kind of agree with. So I don't really feel comfortable taking either side of this one. But I do hope that Detroit can at least, I think the rush defense is a little stronger than the pass defense a little bit. And so I'm hoping Goff and the receivers and Laporta can get going. But yeah, I'm nervous about this one and I don't have a strong lean. Now, what about you, Tyler?
Yeah, I'd lean Detroit. I probably don't get there in the end. I don't, just like we just talked about these backups. Nick Mullins, the legacy game was last game. It just so happened that T. Boyd caught that pass and they missed the tackle and he ran far enough down the field to get Cincinnati the game-winning field goal. I don't see him putting up another performance like that. Detroit's defense looked good. C.J. Gardner-Johnson will be back in that safety spot for them. That's a big piece in that secondary. They were able to stop Denver's offense, and I think Denver's offense is better than the Vikings right now. So I think I would side with Detroit in the end here. I think they found something last week. They probably built on that momentum. I really wouldn't be surprised if perfect rotation's right and Detroit does what they did to Denver last week, and they just go out there and it's like, well, it's 28-7, and it's not even halftime yet. So
yeah, I mean,
I lean with
nothing
Detroit.
would surprise me. That outcome certainly. The range of outcomes, I definitely could absolutely see that.
Yeah, lean with Detroit, but Minnesota's improved defense worries me, especially with the way Goff looked outside of last week. He was very turnover prone the few weeks before that.
Right. Yeah, I hope they can get the passing game going, and I do think. I mean, Justin Jefferson, at least Mullins does have weapons. I mean, Ty Chandler looked great. He has got Jefferson and Addison and Hawkinson. That's a lot of weapons that the Vikings have. So, again, I can make cases for both sides, and that's why I could see a wide range of outcomes to this game. I like rooting for Detroit. I hope they win, and then I obviously hope their offense does good. But yeah, it wouldn't surprise me though if they were up big at halftime. So are you willing to pull the trigger on this spread, or are you just trying
I'm confused by this game?
Yeah. I think we all just talked
honestly,
through why
with
we're
the way Minnesota's defense is playing, I want to bet them, but I'm not going to back Nick Mullins.
Right.
And I would say against Jared Goff, right? Because that's not the name that strikes fear in your heart. But he's still levels above where Mullins is at. And I wasn't necessarily impressed last week. And I think that if Cincinnati didn't lose those two players, they would have won that game by 10 or 17. And we'd have a different spread this week. So we'll see how it goes. Meg, I got to get your thoughts, though, on the two biggest games of the week.
Okay, let me hear it.
I finally get the victory lap against you because you'd been getting a bunch of them right on these Fox game of the weeks. But the Buffalo Bills got it done. And that was actually not fun for me because I had so many Dak teams. Right?
Yep.
But
brutal.
I was right in my pick. Dallas is 6-1 in its last 7 games against Miami. Miami's 7-1 in their last 8 games at home. Will Dak bounce back from the loss against the Miami Dolphins offense? It looked pretty good against the Jets last week. And from what I've read right now, it appears the league's most potent offensive weapon, maybe Christian McCaffrey, but arguably he's definitely top 2. Tyreek Hill should be returning.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of narratives in play here. I know some people are calling it the fraud bowl, and because they both haven't really beat winning teams and all that stuff. It's mean. It's mean. These are both good teams, good offenses. It's going to be a fun game to watch. But there are a lot of narratives at play. Tyreek Hill coming back being a big one. How does Dallas bounce back being another one? It's kind of, I think, going to be interesting because I think you have Tyreek Hill coming back, but Buffalo showed the way you can beat Dallas. And I was listening to a couple of podcasts this week just about these kind of matchup type things. And the way you can beat Dallas is run the hell out of the ball. And they have the weapons to do that in Mostert and Achane. So, or Achane. So, Miami can hit them with the rushing or passing attack. And then being at home, I kind of like the Dolphins more in this one. And again, definitely taking the massive L because I enjoyed my victory laps earlier backing Dallas, but taking a massive L backing Dallas. So I'm a little gun shy backing Dallas. I do think Dak is, and the passing game, the offense will bounce back. I hope that means it's going to be a back and forth fun game to watch. But ultimately, I would probably side with the Dolphins, but I don't side comfortably. I think this could be close. And I think the spread says so. And I wouldn't feel comfortable backing money to it on this, but I think if I had to, I'd probably back the Dolphins. How about you, Tyler?
I think I gotta take Dallas.
Okay. We flipped.
It's one of those things. You look at what's killed Dallas outside of last week, where James Cook had a Walter Payton like performance. It's been these bigger, more physical wide receivers like the DK Metcalfs, the AJ Browns, and these guys. The big guys that can get physical with guys like Bland and just kind of push them off these ball hawking spots. I know Tyreek's not a physical guy, but his speed kind of makes up for that. He probably finds the spaces. None of their offensive linemen practiced yesterday.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah.
What do you think that means for the likes of DeMarcus Lawrence, Michael Parsons, and the rest of these edge rushers in Dallas that are going to be licking their chops to get their hands on Tua? I think that's what decides the game. I think they're all over him in the backfield. He'll be flustered. Teams have showed if you put pressure on him, that's when the team folds. They'll create a couple turnovers. I think Dallas's offense will be able to get theirs against this Miami defense. I think Dallas wins this game in the end.
What about, though, kind of what I said earlier, what if they can just establish that run game with the two potent running backs and just hammer the run game like Buffalo did?
I don't think A-Chain, outside of A-Chain getting one of these like reverse handoffs, like where the line moves one way, he goes the other way, and he just breaks into space and runs away. I don't think he's going to find much space against his defense. And Mostert is one little hit away from being hurt. I swear he's questionable every week. He hasn't really had these big gouging runs like James Cook had last week. It's always inside the 20-yard line. Let's pound them into the end zone. Like all of his stat lines this year, I don't think he's crossed 80 yards, but he's put up 2 touchdowns multiple times. He's not pounding the yards out like James Cook did. I don't see A-Chain doing it either. I think it's the Dallas spot.
He had a couple big yardage games. I mean, again, I know this more from best ball and a couple times betting his line and that kind of stuff. But I'd have to look it up to see how many. I get what you're saying. I'm just saying that I think that is a weakness for Dallas that was exploited last week. And I would trust Mike McDaniel to find a way to exploit that again. I guess I lean into coaches and scheming against the weaknesses. And I kind of
had 2 games where he's topped 100. It took 17 and 18 carries, and A-Chain didn't play in either of them.
Right. Okay.
Outside of that, he's had stat lines where he's had 15 attempts, 42 yards, 2 touchdowns. Like,
oh yeah.
That's a realistic stat line for me here, but I don't see him just chunking off yards and doing what James Cook did last week.
Yeah. Does the only other thing I'm going to ask about that's a negative for Dallas, I believe they'll be without Zach Martin most likely, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay. Does that worry you guys at all?
A little bit, but if I know one guy's going to be out on one side and there's going to be multiple guys on the other side, I think I'm going to take the side and just hope that they could put duct tape on the one hole. And then
and he's a guard, and also he's getting all week in practice with them. Even Tyler mentioned the great Walter Payton. Even he would struggle to run behind a disjointed line. And one of my concerns here with all those guys being out, so they're probably not all going to be ruled out, right? We'll get 2 or 3. But how much synchronicity, that's not the right word, right? But
yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Knowing each other, offensive line. I was talking to my buddy about that yesterday, and I actually brought up your favorite team, the offensive line of the Hogs, right? The famous offensive line of the 80s.
Yeah.
How many years did those guys play with each other?
Oh my God.
And I was saying they could just like lift their elbow, give a look, right?
Yeah.
And they knew.
Yeah.
They knew because they had been with each other. And because of that chemistry, the result, the sum was much greater than each individual part. I worry that we'll get the opposite effect here with Miami as we're talking this through. Tyler's been pretty convincing. I'm thinking Dallas might be the spot here. Let's continue to monitor that
And
injury.
outside of the lineman spread, these are the other guys that haven't practiced this week. A-Chain and Mostert, neither have practiced.
I'm not worried about that, though, because running backs don't need to practice, and that's pretty common at this time of year.
Like they might just be, like
I mean, all they do is hit the hole, right? All I got to do is know where do I run. A gap, B gap, C gap.
He's not practicing, and Xavier Howard didn't practice either with a hip injury.
He's going to be back, though. He'll play.
I wouldn't be 100% on that one.
Okay.
Which offensive linemen are the most likely out, or most likely? Well, you said some of them. Do you know which ones are most likely? Like very questionable.
Armstead's dealing with a knee and an ankle injury.
Okay.
He's the biggest one too. That's the AFC's Trent Williams, I'd call it, because if he goes out for Miami's offensive line, you're gonna watch that unit go. If they were ranked 5th, once he sits on the bench, they're ranked 25th. So they could be in for a hurting on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, you make very convincing points. I mean, I probably wouldn't take a side on this one because I see it to be so close. And again, I hope we get just a good game. Like, these are two, I think.
Do we also trust a coach like Mike McDaniel to do what Buffalo did last week and say, Josh Allen, you might be this crazy athletic player. We let you throw for 300-some yards. You throw the ball 40 times a game. You usually decide the games for us. You're going to hand the ball off 30 times this game.
Yeah, I think he's the smartest to playing to
I think he's quote unquote too smart for it. And he would be like, I don't have to do that. I'll be able to game plan my passes open. We're talking about a dude that passes on 3rd and 1 when it's like, all right, just pound the ball.
But you got to remember that Shanahan's system is predicated on running the ball. I know everybody wants to get pass happy and the Niners put up huge numbers, but their percentage of run plays, like their run split is one of the highest in the league. Yeah,
no, he has been more run heavy. That's why
I think if they were fully healthy, I would be
think about how many times they've been playing with a lead.
That's true. But I'm just saying,
I think even in neutral
scripts, Andy Reid to run the ball.
Right. Yeah.
I'm serious. I mean, how many times Andy Reid hates running the ball?
Yeah, and I hate to
so does Eric Bieniemy.
He's got one of the lowest.
I hate to go back to just like the old, like this is just the easiest take of them all. Just go look at Miami's schedule and look at the teams they've lost to. They've lost to Philly. They've lost to Buffalo. They've lost to the good teams. This isn't a bad team. No, they had a spot where they beat up on their division rival. They needed that game, and then they flew all the way to the East Coast and played a team whose back was against the wall in a game they could care less for. Everyone's off them now. This is the spot to bet them.
All right. I think you make very convincing points. I really do. Yeah. So I definitely think this is going to be a fun one. And I think you definitely make convincing points for Dallas. I don't know that I would personally pull the trigger, but I get it. I get where you're coming. I totally get it. I think we're going to have a really fun one to watch. So any other
Christmas night.
Okay. Oh yes.
You've
I know.
Opened your presents. You've had your dinner. Your family's told you how much they've enjoyed your presence, but now it's time to get down to some serious football. The Baltimore Ravens are in San Francisco. The line's 5. The total's 47. The number 1 team in the National Football Conference versus the number 1 team in the American Football Conference. This game is going to spur a ton of overreactions. What will we be overreacting to?
Yeah, well, first of all, Spread, you have some semifinals in best ball in
only 2
on DraftKings, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I thought you had some on DraftKings. Okay, so all 3 of us are in the semifinals for best ball. So I have to mention, I can't go an episode even on this betting show not talking about best ball and say that this game will be what decides. This is the last game of semifinals week. So this will be the game that you are either need nothing to happen or you need somebody to do something. So this is like the best ball semifinal hammer game. So very exciting for that because there's obviously so many high powered pieces in this game. So I will be watching for that. I will be watching. Obviously we've got the MVP race talk now in this game. Like you said, obviously playoff seeding and getting the bye in each respective conference. There's so many narratives going on here. I mean, I'm backing the 49ers in this one at home. I mean, I think the 49ers are going to win, but that spread makes me uncomfortable. I'll say that I don't know that I'd feel comfortable taking them to win by 5. Who do I think is going to win? I think the 49ers are going to win at home. Do I think they're going to win by 5? I don't know if I feel comfortable about that. I don't know if that was a strong take.
Tyler, I think the 49ers are the most complete team in the league. And if I trust anybody to win by margin, it's the Niners, because it's the two things that we need, right? They got the explosive offense and a shutdown defense. The question is, we've talked about this all year, Tyler, when you have a quarterback like Lamar Jackson that you simply can't prepare for, even the best defensive schemes and the fastest defensive players can look foolish. How do you think this one turns out, Tyler?
I mean, you could sit here and make arguments on both sides of this game. You could tell me San Fran's team, it's just going to be the well-oiled machine, roll in here, do what they've done all year. Or you could sit here and tell me Lamar is an underdog, is like 11-1 ATS. He's only lost like one game to the NFC ever. To be completely honest, I probably end up just watching this one and not betting it. I feel like it can go either
Okay, but there's a Degen guy watching the show right now. He's only going to put $20 on the game. He's not going to be homeless if you lose, but he wants to bet his side. What do you got, Tyler?
Probably take San Fran.
I think I would too.
I would too. Yeah, if you said you have to take a side
I'd probably
again.
take San Fran, but then it's like, if anything's going to give this defense trouble, it's going to be Lamar just dancing past everyone.
Mm-hmm.
My final statement on this is, if you like Baltimore, I think you take the money line.
Yeah, they just won the game outright.
Yep,
I
agree.
I don't think it lands within the margin.
MVP decided in this game?
No.
I think it is.
I mean, that's the narrative right this
Josh
week.
Allen's still going to be live if they make that surge.
I think if San Fran wins this game handily and Purdy does what he's done the last 3 weeks, he's minus
He's still going to
600.
split with McCaffrey, though, isn't he?
No. It's Purdy's minus 200 right now. If he wins this game, throws for 350, 3 touchdowns, he's minus 1,000 come Monday morning.
Yeah.
If the Ravens win, Lamar goes from plus 500 to minus 110. Purdy jumps back up into plus money. Lamar is now the favorite. If this game's a slugfest and CMC is the only reason why this game's decided, you're going to watch that 10-1 trickle down. And it's going to become, all of a sudden, it's going to be like CMC 4-1, Purdy plus 110.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like there's going to be a very, very good argument to CMC.
Where's our favorite potato head in this conversation, Tyler?
He needs to win the division, Fred. I just don't see it.
I was going to say, and everybody says,
you give me a Bills 18-1 ticket like 2 weeks ago.
I'm not giving you the MVP. Give you the conference winner.
You were talking conference winner, yeah.
Okay.
I was going to say, most people are now have Dak out of it after the poor, awful, god-awful performance last week. But if he had an amazing...
That's where Josh Allen swooped in is, if these 3 guys hiccup, he's the de facto guy where it's like, well, you showed up when your team needed you most. You pushed them into the playoffs. You rank first in all these analytical stats. Here's your trophy we've been trying to give you for 3 years.
Yeah, well, I could see that, number one, especially if they end up winning the AFC East. What if Dallas, though, had a convincing win against the Dolphins, convincing wins the rest of the way, and win the NFCs? Could you see people somehow forgetting about that Buffalo game?
Yeah, it's recency. It's all recency.
Yes, but it would take also San Fran losing a game. Because if San Fran wins out and Dak does that, they'll be like, well,
they're the second
Purdy
seed or whatever.
beat the hell out of you when he played you, so it's his award.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. I think you broke down like how the MVP race will go based on the outcomes perfectly. So, I mean, definitely major implications in this game. This one's going to be a fun one to watch. And for us, a little best ball sweat for finals. Yep. I know you have Lamar, don't you?
I got Lamar and Dak, so need big games out of those guys.
Woo-hoo. Okay. How about you, Spread?
I'll be on the opposite. I have CMC in mind.
I have CMC in my smaller contest. CMC,
yeah, I think I have IU too.
Okay. I have more. I have in this particular game. I have more secondary pieces. And when I say secondary pieces, I'm talking. I don't think Kittle's a secondary piece, but I mean, but he is in the context of his team. But could he put up a massive game? Sure. So I have Kittle in one BBM, and I've Gus Edwards in another BBM. So that'll be the two I'm sweating out in this one. But anyways, it's going to be a fun one. It is going to be a fun one. Yeah, I would say, like you said, Spread. If someone just said, "Hey, we want to put $20 on this," which way do we go? I like 49ers spread. But if you want to get frisky, don't mess with the
49ers spread or Baltimore Ravens money line.
money line. Yeah,
I think those are
exactly.
your two choices.
Yep,
Have some
100%.
fun with it if you like the Ravens.
Exactly, 100% agree with that. Okay, any other spread talk before we go to total talk?
Let's jump in the totals.
All right, totals, spread. Give it to me. What totals are standing out to you? What is your favorite total on the board?
Your team, Meg, the Washington Commanders.
Oh boy, we're in the sweatshirt and everything, mainly because I just didn't feel like it.
Flying against the New York Jets. Who's the quarterback? I don't care. I know if you have Terry McLaurin in that best ball contest you were talking about, Meg, you want it to be Jacoby Brissett because he looked a lot better with Brissett in there.
It's Hal.
But how long will it last? Didn't Hal get benched last week?
He did, but they said it was just like, it was just a disaster. And, they need to give him these last 3 games. We know what Jacoby Brissett is. He's a great journeyman backup quarterback. He can win you games, but we're out of the playoffs. You need to take these 3 games and give Hal the full 3 games I still actually do believe in him. I don't know if you took a poll of all Washington fans where I think you'd probably have more people agree with me than not, but you want that full season. He now is, by week 18 would have like a season in 1 game. So you want that full season for the owners and the new coach to make a full decision. And so he's going to get 3 full games. I can guarantee that.
Okay. Well, I still think he'll be able to have some modicum of success. Now, remember, with a total of 37, I don't need that much success to get there. And one of the reasons I'm confident is I don't think that Jets team gave full effort against Miami. I think this team might be out. And we saw some signs of dissension in this locker room beforehand. Rodgers has commented about it, and we've seen it on the field. Now, on the other side of the ball, if I am an anemic offense, if I am struggling to score points, I'm sorry to say this, Meg, but the Washington Commanders seem like the prescription that I want to go.
I was just going to say that's the best prescription for an ailing offense. Yeah,
and this team, they realized what was going on this season. They acquired some draft picks for 2 players that they weren't going to pay. Although they're good players, they don't fit into the timeline of what this team is trying to achieve behind, if it is end up being Hal, right? You're still a couple years away.
Right.
But since you made that loss, and I think Montez Sweat is showing how impactful he can be, because you get both. You get the impact that he's shown to the Chicago Bears, but also that Commanders defense, which was respectable, has it has slid into the bottom 10 of the league. So even though these aren't 2 quarterbacks we're necessarily excited about, I like the over 37 in the Commanders and the Jets. I have it projected at a 40-point game.
Yeah, I like that. Obviously, again, no matter who, do we have an update if Zach Wilson's cleared the concussion protocol?
When I run my projections, I have Wilson in there.
Okay.
And that would suck if he's not, because
2 weeks ago. 2 weeks
Really?
ago, is he still in concussion protocol? I thought the last quote I read was that.
Did you say, Tyler, that you thought that he was just saying that?
No, I felt like because when they went into halftime last week, when they first came out of halftime and he didn't come out, they said he was still in the locker room due to hydration, and then 5 minutes later they said he had a concussion. I said he sat in his locker, looked at the coach, and told him to kiss his ass, and he ain't coming out of the locker room. The game's over. I'm done. I don't think they put that guy back on the field.
But you think by this week his agent will reach out and say, bro, like just go out there. Like, you sitting out is not going to help my cause to get you on a different team next year.
Yeah.
Just go out, right? I mean, if I'm his agent, I'm saying this is the last thing I need.
I'm looking at news.
I'm already going to struggle to get you a job. And now I'm hearing rumors that you're refusing to play football.
Adam Schefter, as of 1 day ago, Zach Wilson remains in concussion protocol.
Yeah, Sports Illustrated 2 days ago, Zach Wilson hid concussion symptoms from doctors. So I don't know. I mean,
okay, I might have to give you guys another one then. I was assuming he'd be out there.
You just take the team total for Washington.
I mean, I wish from a betting standpoint that Zach Wilson was playing, just because, again, that is the perfect recipe. He put up numbers 2 weeks ago. So against this Washington offense, you could. So I'd feel comfortable with the total if Wilson was playing. What's Washington's team total?
On a 37, if they're +3, that'd be what, 20-17. So it should be around 17.
Yeah.
I like that way better.
Yeah. I think,
Okay.
I think
If I were to give out another one, then let me give out kind of tonight. I like the under tonight. That's a bet I've made.
okay.
I
Yeah,
know
absolutely.
that this Rams offense has been playing better, but this Saints defense is number one, pretty good.
They're good.
And their offense is discombobulated. They've always been predicated on their ability to run the ball. Look what Peyton's doing over there in Denver. When they can run the ball, that offense is successful. And that's how this team was built. But Alvin Kamara, still an effective player, but he's not that elite Bijan Robinson style weapon, right? The ultra versatile, can break it at any time. He's more of just a solid player that's going to do the right thing. Olave and Carr haven't clicked all year. Thomas is also a shell of himself. So I believe
He's
this
out,
game's
I
going to
think.
go under. Is he out? Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, so it's just going to be Olave's back, Shaheed, and I don't know, some dusty receiver as the third receiver. He'll probably score. But yeah. And then of course you have Kamara. So yeah, I like the Rams.
The under tonight.
You like the under. Okay, got it. Yeah, I think that's a perfect.
And in a low scoring game, I like the Rams too, but in what I project to be a low scoring game, I don't want to lay 4.
Right.
If this total was like 50 and I had more faith in these offenses, I would lay 4.
Mm-hmm.
I think if the Rams get the lead and the Saints can't move the ball, there's going to be a heavy diet to run, and this game's going to move pretty quickly tonight.
Yeah, the thing with the Saints, I want to read more kind of about the matchups before I actually, do make prop bets, and that will be updated on the NFL betting card, probably within an hour or so after the show. But I know the Saints are especially good against the run. Now, Kyren Williams is just playing amazing. They're feeding him. He even had some fumbles last week against Washington. They still fed him. So, but the Saints have been really good against the run. So I'm interested to just see that whole dynamic too. But I do agree. I do agree with you on the under. How about you, Tyler? Do you like that? And what other totals are you interested for this week?
I'm not sold on the under in tonight's game.
Okay.
One, I got a little bit of PTSD from the last couple Thursday night games where it's just like the game starts and it looks like a Big 12 college game. Two, I don't think the Saints defense is all that good. You played the Giants, you held them to 6. You played Carolina, you held them to 6. That's back-to-back weeks. I think that's clouding a little bit of judgment. You played Detroit. We remember they got fucking pounded by Detroit in the first half, and then Detroit went to sleep.
Yeah.
They gave up 15 to Atlanta. Yeah, Atlanta can't score either. They gave up 19 to Minnesota while they were bouncing around with their quarterbacks. And they gave up 27 to Indy. Like when they play good offenses, they give up points.
I mean, you made a very convincing point of who they played, and
like the teams
Stafford's playing well.
The teams they hold to no points are the teams you should hold to no points.
Mm-hmm.
They're missing Lattimore. He's on IR. Marcus May's on IR. Their other cornerbacks downgraded out. Lonnie Johnson. I don't know.
Do you think they're going to be able to score to get there?
I think
I need both teams to get an over.
I think they can get some points on the board. Like I don't think the Rams defense just suffocates them. Like the Rams are going to be missing pieces on defense too. Starting corner.
Carr's going to have those happy feet all night dealing with Aaron Donald.
Oh, he's gonna have happy feet, but
I don't know if you can hear it, but I'm shuffling right now.
I think he can get the 14 in this matchup, and I think that might be enough.
Okay, we're on opposite sides there.
You're on opposite sides. Okay, what other totals do you like this week, Tyler?
Give me Philly's team total. Easiest bet on the board. They've scored 34 plus in 3 of their last 4 matchups against the Giants. You got a frustrated team after these couple blowout losses.
3 in a row.
What better way to come back than like a nice matchup? Well, you get the ugly duckling of the division that everyone beats up on, and they're all injured, and now it's your turn to get right on them and just beat the shit out of them. They're scoring 30 plus on Christmas. Boston Scott's going in the end zone. Hurts scores.
He always goes off against the Giants.
No angels and Christmas carols in the end zone all night. It's Philly's team total. It's the easiest one.
What is the team total for them?
It's 27.5.
I think that makes sense. Yeah. This is definitely a get right spot on Christmas Day. Okay. Any other total talk before we talk props quickly?
My totals were pretty dialed in this week.
Okay, like meaning there you don't see
I-
many other
there's-
big.
there-
I went through beforehand. I'm like, right on the number, right on
There's
the number.
one
right
Yeah,
on the
game-
no
number.
other edges. Yeah.
It kind of stuck out to me. I was like, maybe I'd pull a trigger on the over, but then it also rubs me as this could be click a button on the over, and this could be the Vegas Minnesota game from a few weeks ago, and that's Chicago Arizona. Just two
Mhm.
bad teams on the field. Like, could they just throw points on the board galore and just say screw the defenses, or does Chicago say we're the better team here? We're going to win this game like 17-10.
Right. Yeah, that one would scare me just
Yeah.
with two bad teams. I mean, the other one that I could feel like it could go over, but again, it's such a big number. Well, a big number in 2023 is the 50 for Miami. I mean, I could absolutely see that game sailing over in a somewhat of a shootout, but in 2023, 50 is a big number. So, yeah, your projections are coming right around there. Spread.
I'll look on that one.
49.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, so yeah, that's tough because it's a high total. All right, so we broke down the favorite spreads, the favorite totals. We're going to talk favorite props. Of course, check out the NFL betting card will be updated shortly after with these picks and some Thursday night picks. And then, of course, we will have it updated for Saturday slate. We will have it updated. It is a wild week for during the holidays, but we will have it updated for the Sunday slate, and then we'll have it updated for the 3-game Christmas Day slate. So we'll keep it busy, keep it updated, keep the props, anytime touchdowns, all the picks coming at you. So keep checking that NFL betting card each day on fanspeak.com. Okay, let's go talk some props again this time of the week. Not everything's available to us, but Tyler, I'll go to you. What props are you eyeing up at this point of the week?
I think it's an easy one. It's either an easy one or I'm walking into a trap.
Okay, let me hear it.
James Cook over 66.5 rushing yards against the Chargers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I like
12.5 point favorites. They could easily just go, well, we'll just run the same scheme we ran last week. We're just going to run the ball. They can't stop us. They should play with a lead here almost the entire game unless Chargers score first.
Mm-hmm.
I think 66 is too low. I think he gets into the 80s. He might even crack 100 again. He's going to get all the in between the 20s carries he can. The moment he gets tired, it becomes Ty Johnson's job. Once they get inside the red zone is where like Latavius Murray gets involved. He's not getting the open field carries. So I like the 66.5 here on James Cook.
I like that a lot. I was going to give a Jets one because, again, you always want to take a prop against Washington. I took Cooper Kupp last week. That obviously went well. The Stafford one, though, did not. He didn't quite get there. But you always want to take, props against Washington. So I was going to do Garrett Wilson, but I can't take that yet, not knowing the quarterback situation. So I'm going to go to a guy that I mentioned earlier, and let me find him. I think his alt props are always live because this guy is just slinging it each and every week. We talked about how we like the Browns. Give me Flacco to throw over 244.5. This guy's been consistently, putting up the passing stats each week, and I see it continuing this week. So I'm backing Flacco yet again this week. I've actually bet his alt prop, I believe the last 2 weeks, and that's worked out. So I'm going back to Flacco. Any other props you like, Tyler, before we move on to touchdowns?
Just as of looking right now, no, the only other one I kind of like right now, just off looking at it, would be Bryce Young's rushing yards at 13.5.
Okay.
His offensive line looks like they got 5 of me blocking for him because they can't block anyone. And he runs for his life every play. I swear every week there's a play shown on Red Zone. It's the only highlight from the Carolina game where he just runs away for like 15 to 20 yards and just scampers out of bounds. And it's like, I don't think we have to worry about him kneeling the ball out at the end because I don't think they're winning this game. So if he gets up over that number, he's not going backwards.
Yeah, I like that. That makes sense. Let me ask you, do you like, I said about being nervous about Garrett Wilson, but again, I always want to attack the Washington defense this year. What about Breece Hall over 27.5 receiving or Breece Hall? Let me see his rushing line because you can run on Washington too and get a lot of receptions out of the backfield. You can do anything you want. It's only 46.5 rushing, 27.5 receiving. That's just another one I'm considering. Again, I'm always looking to attack my own team.
So worry you that's kind of all they got? And it's kind of like just stack the box if the quarterback beats us down the sideline because we can't get to him fast enough. That's my worry there is they just stack the box the entire game. And they're like, if you're going to beat us, you're beating us through the air.
Yeah. I mean, that's the case against it for sure. I mean, I don't Breece Hall is always one that I don't understand why he's so explosive, why they don't get him the ball more in space and, that he doesn't rack up more receptions like a McCaffrey. But you can certainly do that against Washington. Kyron Williams did it last week. I could go back, each week and tell you all the running backs that kind of got there against Washington. So it intrigues me, but I get what you're saying from the pure rushing standpoint of it. Okay, so that's some prop talks, but again, check out all the props, the official plays on the NFL betting card on fanspeak.com. Now let's take an early look at anytime touchdowns. Always a fun market to look at. Anytime touchdown spread. I'll go to you first on this one. Who do you like in the anytime touchdown market this week?
All right, we have some fun options here. Meg, have you pulled up the numbers yet? Did you see what Christian McCaffrey's is?
Oh, is it?
I don't think I've ever seen it this high.
It's always wild with him. What
it's
is
minus 334.
Oh my God, I don't know if I've ever seen it. I don't know if I've
his touchdown to win last week was minus 300 against the Cardinals.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's so wild.
I like CD Lamb at minus 126. When we're looking at these touchdown bets, Meg, why wouldn't we use these totals to our advantage? So I'm going to target players in the games with the higher totals. We talked about that matchup earlier, but we do expect points to be scored. And I do like CD Lamb here to bounce back. You think that Dak's going to try, there's a lot of criticism going around that team. What's the best thing to do? Hone in on your favorite guy. Feed the beast, feed the monster, get back on track. And I believe CD Lamb gets in the end zone. Give me CD Lamb at minus 126.
I like that. He still got in there at the very end, a little garbage time touchdown. I think they'll just
right. And that was a rushing touchdown too. So for the Dak shares, it didn't help us.
Yeah, I know. So that was very, very, very frustrating for us all because we all had a lot of Dak shares in the quarterfinals. But I like that call a lot. Tyler, what's your favorite anytime touchdown bet on the board right now?
Yeah, looking at these, Meg, I'm still a little tilted on my touchdown bets last week. I mean, we had KC's defense, they get a pick, get pushed out of bounds on the 3. Browning targets every tight end on Cincinnati's roster, can't get him in the end zone. It was a rough one last week.
And Hudson racked up a lot of yards.
Hudson had all the yards. Some of those guys even got red zone targets. They just couldn't fall in the end zone for us. I think I'm going to have to take a running back here.
Okay.
Actually, I'm going to give 2 here.
Let's go.
Take a running back in this Buffalo game. It's the guy we talked about. It's Latavius Murray.
Oh.
He gets all the red zone carries. If they get inside the 5 in a matchup with the Chargers, I don't think you got to run Josh Allen. You don't want to get him hurt against the Chargers team.
Yeah, why would you? Yeah.
You run the 34-year-old running back right up the gut and watch him go into the end zone for how many weeks straight. So Latavius Murray plus 225, I like.
Love that.
And then I think we have to get somebody in this Colts-Falcons game.
Mm-hmm.
Josh Downs plus 255 is another one I don't mind here. Pittman's banged up. He could definitely deep ball this side of the field because A.J. Terrell would probably be on Pittman if he does play. And he was a limited participant in practice, so I think he does end up out there. And I think Downs is more of a beneficiary from that because he might even be just more of a decoy at that point. So I like Downs too.
I like that. Spread, you talked about going to the game with the highest total being, the Cowboys, Dolphins. You took Lamb. I'm going to take the other side. It's -2, which I typically take place. So I'll give another one as well. But I think Mostert continues the trend. He's second in the league with touchdowns. He's been getting plenty of 2 touchdown games, and it's not just bias because I think I only have him on maybe one of my best ball teams remaining. But I like Mostert to get in the end zone in this potentially high scoring game. I talked about how I like the running game of the Dolphins against the Cowboys. So give me Mostert as number 1. And then I'm going to go with the guy again. You got to target against Washington. We may not know who the quarterback is for the Jets, but getting Breece Hall at plus odds, I like Breece Hall plus 105 to get in the end zone. Someone's scoring, whoever the quarterback is from the Jets. I'm telling you that. And yeah, I think Breece Hall. We've seen a lot of running backs week after week get there. We've seen a lot of players week after week get there against Washington. So, but we've seen certainly the running backs can get there on the ground or through the air.
We had some injury news just pop on guys we've talked about.
Oh, really? Who?
We got Trevor Lawrence officially didn't practice today. Zach Wilson does not practice again today. Marquise Brown doesn't practice. Luke Musgrave does not. Michael Pittman was a full participant today.
Oh, that's good about Pittman. Yeah, that supports the Colts. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for the update. That's gonna be interesting about Lawrence. Because he's in concussion protocol too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that's not. I mean, he gutted through that. I was shocked he came back from that ankle injury. But this isn't one like you said. This is he has to clear other things. This isn't like the ankle injury. So that could be a big one and they've got a great matchup against. Passing matchup, like Washington, you want to attack their secondary. The Bucs are a pass funnel that you could definitely, target Jacksonville passing and receiving. But if it's Beathard, that makes that less attractive for sure. Does that make you guys like the Bucs spread even more? I know you didn't make that official play, but does that make it tempting to make that official play? Just out of curiosity.
The Buccaneers?
Yeah. I
mean, I kind of liked him before, but it's with Trevor Lawrence, especially after what he did with the ankle injury. Mm-hmm. I want to make sure he's out.
Yeah. What about you, Spread?
I hadn't thought that one about it. I didn't know. I know Baker got so much credit last week, but one of the reasons that he's never become one of these top guys
never had these weapons.
Inconsistency, yeah.
What'd you say, Tyler?
He's never had these weapons.
Even this year he's been inconsistent.
Yeah, he has been inconsistent this year. I'm trying to think the game or two before this, if he strung a couple together. I mean, last week was so impressive. I can't remember the game or two before that. Yeah. But anyways, I always love Mike Evans. He's been just like a red zone monster. So that's another touchdown one that I want to look at his number too. But we threw out multiple touchdown props. Will again get these all up on the NFL betting card. So yeah, we've covered spreads, we've covered totals, we've covered props, we've covered the anytime touchdowns. It's time to talk about the Thursday night game. Spread likes the under.
Meg, before we do that,
yeah,
I have a question for you.
Yes,
from one of your biggest fans, and it's a sit start for a managed league.
Okay.
For
I don't know who my biggest fan is, but thank you.
Yeah, for the flex, Chuba Hubbard versus Green Bay, Ty Chandler versus Detroit, Jerome Ford versus Houston, or Evan Ingram versus Tampa if you're starting Trey McBride at tight end. Who would you like in the flex for that situation?
We just talked about how you can target the passing game against the Bucs. That's intriguing, but again, not knowing the Lawrence situation, that would keep me off the Ingram one for now. And if, the other running backs, I definitely side with Ty Chandler the most. Now, this is why I'm obsessed with best ball and I don't really play managed leagues because I hate these agonizing start-sit decisions. And I love best ball. Just let it ride, But I would say Ty Chandler. Do we have Madison news yet? Is he out or is he still
He's going to play, but they said Ty Chandler is going to get most of the majority.
They said Ty Chandler. Yeah. So he is going to play. That makes it a little less appealing. However, the coach basically, like Tyler said this is kind of our RB1. He's our starter. So hopefully he gets most of the workload. And he looked way better than Madison, in my opinion. And I think most people's opinion. So I'd say I'd go with Ty Chandler on that one.
Thank you.
I like Chandler a lot. All right. We even got a little start sit in there. And of course we squeezed in some best ball talk because again, to anybody who's still in the best ball streets, best ball semifinals officially start tonight. So good luck to everybody out there in the best ball semifinals. So now let's talk about tonight, Thursday night football. We have two teams that are still in the playoff mix. That's nice. And so hopefully we don't have a, 63 to whatever game that we had last week with the Chargers just quitting. But spread, you talked about liking the under. Tyler, you talked about maybe liking the over. I think we all like the Rams in this one. Would you agree with that spread? Do you like the Rams in this game?
Yeah, if I'm playing the side, to me right now, it's Rams or pass. And like I said earlier, I just don't trust this New Orleans offense to get it done. And I think the Rams are sneakily one of the best teams that's not a real contender. So throw all the real contenders out, and I think the Rams are at the top of that next tier, right?
Mhm.
Just
I think they're going to make the playoffs in the NFC. I do.
yeah, they're really good. It's just I don't see them competing with the likes of San Francisco,
No.
Dallas, teams like that. But the Rams are a really solid team. I like the Rams to cover tonight, and Matthew Stafford will continue to be one of those guys. For older people watching, he's going to be like Alex English, just a great career that kind of is going to get lost in history because of some of the teams he played for.
All right, yeah, I think the Rams win tonight too. Stafford's had a great season. Cup looks back. So, how do you see this game going tonight? You kind of like the over? Are you on the Rams tonight, Tyler?
Yeah, I think the Rams win the game. I mean, ever since Stafford came back, when they took that 20-3 loss to Green Bay with Ripien under center, they should be on a 5-game winning streak. It took a punt return touchdown in OT against Baltimore to kill that winning streak. This team's probably going to match up with Detroit in the first round, which you get the WWE-like narrative of Stafford heading back to Detroit for a playoff game.
Oh,
the whole history behind that. That'll be a fun one. I think that's lining up as a collision course for the seeding.
Interesting.
They should be able to run the ball a little bit. I don't trust the corners to slow down Cooper Kupp, Puka, or Higbee even like that. Tutu Atwell will be back. DeMarcus Robinson showed he could split the defense, and now there's 4 guys. I think Stafford throws for like 275 to 300. Kyron Williams finds the end zone. I'm not sure which of the 3 pass catchers finds the end zone. I'm leaning more towards Higbee because of how bad Saints have been against tight ends. Everyone's going to flock to the wide receivers. I think it could be a Higbee night. I think that's where I'm going to end up at, and I think the Rams win this one by like close to a touchdown.
Okay. All right. I like it. So let's do what we do every Thursday. And
I mean, the last 2 Thursday night games we've gotten to, the teams hit the field, and it looks like one team wants to play, and the other one's just kind of there.
Yeah.
I could see the Rams hanging like 21 quick, and it being like, oh, I don't think the Saints came to play today.
That wouldn't shock me. Again, I think I definitely think Bucs win this division easily. Obviously, Saints would have to get a win tonight to really keep pace and stuff. So, or are they tied right now? Are they tied, or Bucs have a game?
I think the Bucs have the lead.
Yeah, I think the Bucs have the lead. Sure. Yeah, I'm doing playoff best balls if Bucs are going to or representing the South. But let's do what we do every Thursday night and talk about each pick a first touchdown for tonight. Spread, I'll let you go first. Who do you like to get in the end zone first tonight?
All right, I'm going to take the man who got the most separation this whole season when he scored a touchdown last week. Meg, did you see how wide open he was?
Oh, my God. Yeah, it was insane.
And that's Cooper Kupp if you missed the play. I mean,
loved it.
Even from the camera that's way at the top of the stadium, you couldn't see another player near him.
That's Washington.
I can't remember the last time I've seen a man so open. So probably be a little less separation here, but I'll take Cooper Kupp at 8-1 to get the first touchdown.
Oh, I love that. That was on my list. So I'm definitely
I'm so glad you went to me first because to me it's.
You knew I was probably taking Kupp. So
I think it's the best. 8-1. I mean, Kyron Williams is 3.5-1, and you talked about how the Saints have a good run defense. Like I think those numbers should have been way closer. If I was lining this, I would put them both at like plus 450. Right.
He's a better number on. Oh no, I'm sorry, I was looking at the wrong thing. You're right. Yeah, he's plus 380 on FanDuel. On Kyron Williams, that is. So Tyler, I'll go to you next. Who do you think's getting in the end zone first tonight?
I mean, the guy we just talked about, Tyler Higbee.
That's what I thought you were going to say. Yeah.
They drive it all the way down the field, little play action. He's standing right in the middle of the field. Bang, tight end touchdown.
Whew, this is tough because you guys took 2 of the good ones. I could go Puka Nacua. I could go Kyron Williams for not much odds. But let's have a little fun. Chris Olave is back tonight. I don't like Carr tonight, but sometimes it happens where the team that doesn't win or the team that you don't have scoring first is the one that happens to score first. Maybe Rams get a field goal and goes a couple drives and then somehow the Saints pop it in first, but that doesn't mean they're going to win. So
and if you want to make it equal, Meg, add in some Jimmy Graham at 28-1.
Oh, I like giving a long shot. I mean, yeah, he's been like the touchdown guy. Yeah. So that's right. Jimmy Graham. I like that as the long shot. So yeah, give me Olave at 14-1. And yeah, let's sprinkle a little Jimmy Graham at 28-1. That's a great call. Makes it super fun. So to end the show, we always do a little Thursday night same game parlay, each picking a leg. So Spread, I'll let you go first on this one. Let's build a little show parlay here.
All right. Tyler talked about he expected a big night from Matt Stafford. Let's give him over 241 yards passing.
Okay, I like that. Let's see. All right. Tyler, go to you next. What's your leg for tonight that you like?
Give me the alt on Higbee at 40 plus yards and
Ooh.
plus 220.
I like that. Sorry, finding it now. Ooh, plus 220. We're getting this spicy. I like it. I wanted to see what Cooper Cup's reception lines was at. Oh, damn, it's high.
What do you have for Cup receptions? I have receiving yards. Where's receptions?
Yeah, the receiving line is 73. Receptions, I kind of liked receptions. It's you get 6. I mean, you can alt it either way, but essentially over 6.5 plus 122. So what do you guys like better, that, or do you think Olave in garbage time 60.5? Those were the two I was deciding between.
I like the receptions better.
You like the receptions? What do you think, Tyler?
I'm on the other side because I think the Saints' second half is just throw.
That's what I was thinking about, like taking one from the garbage time side of just needing to
but
get
he's
there.
going to be going against that prevent, and he's just going to check down.
Oh, so not getting. What's the Olave receptions? Then?
I would do Kamara then on that one.
That's true. So let's see. We got.
But if you look at the way this is played out, Kamara's had his big games when Olave's out.
Yeah, that's true. I just don't trust Carr to push it down the field. He's like the anti-Will Levis.
Yeah.
They're like the exact opposite players.
They had the same exact reception prop, 4.5.
Did Clyde? Is it no? We're just sprinkling on these
We're
first touchdowns.
The first CDs.
But you can parlay the touchdowns, and we got some fun ones here. You can pick.
If you ever hit a first touchdown parlay on the same game, Clyde, let me know how.
Yeah, let's know how that works. No,
I got some beach property here in Pittsburgh to sell you too.
That sounds fun.
I like
right
it.
next to a steel mill. Sounds great.
That's great. But Clyde, you could take the touchdowns that we like to score and parlay them together as anytime line. Parlay that parlays a little anytime touchdowns. Now that is fun because I always love doing that. All right, you guys didn't help me break the tie here. Do you like Olave receptions at 4.5?
You have to break the tie. We went opposite.
Okay, you did go opposite. You know what? Cooper Kupp is my guy, but I'm going to play the garbage time narrative. So we're going to get plus 678 Olave. Actually, I'll just alt it because knowing my luck, he won't get that half yard. So I'll do Chris Olave alt 60 plus. And so that takes this to, that's minus 120, 664 on FanDuel. So we got Matthew Stafford over, Tyler Higbee alt 40, Chris Olave alt 60 for the same game show parlay for tonight. I will get that up on the sheet as well. So, okay, guys, final thoughts for week 16 before we get out of here. I'll go to you first, Spread. Final thoughts for tonight or week 16.
Yeah, this is the time of year where I just start looking forward to the playoffs. We know who's good. We know who's bad. We have some fun matchups left, right? Like Miami, Dallas is great. San Francisco, Baltimore is great. But we all know those teams would much rather win a playoff game than the games this week. I'm fired up to see how this season turns out. I think there's a bunch of true contenders on each side. I know certain fans, and I know the ratings seem to do better when you have two juggernaut teams that seem destined to meet. I kind of like the chaos and uncertainty here for this season, so I can't wait to see how it all turns out.
I agree with you there. Tyler, what do you have final thoughts for week 16?
I think it's going to be a fun week. Christmas week's usually fun. You get all the football games on the Christmas Eve party and the Christmas Day party game, so be fun for football. Hopefully the best ball teams advance, and New Year's Eve is a fun one too. So I think we found some winners. Lock in those bets. Pay for the Christmas presents early. Pay for them right after you buy them.
I like it. That said perfectly. Yeah, be sure to check out again multiple slates we're talking about here. We got tonight, we got Saturday, Sunday, then Christmas Day, 3-game slate. We got lots, so keep checking that FanSpeak betting card. Each and every day, pretty much, we'll have new ones. I'll keep them refreshed and everything. And yeah, to those still in the best ball streets, good luck. Hopefully, get some final teams to root on next week. And everybody have a happy, wonderful, safe holidays. And we will see you next week for Spread. And Tyler, I'm Meg. We'll see you next week. Have a good one.